I was in my third trimester of my first pregnancy, finishing off a yoga class doing what I thought was a gentle reclining twist, when all of a sudden I felt a burning hot, painful flash go right down my midline. So looking back, I definitely caused my four-finger diastasis recti gap, which I ended up with after my pregnancies, and I only wish that I knew then what I know now, because it is possible to reduce or prevent diastasis recti. Even for my third pregnancy, even though I had previously had diastasis recti, I was able to reduce my diastasis recti a lot and recover very quickly within about 6 to 8 weeks implementing strategies. The first common mistake that can make diastasis recti worse is leverage twist. So this is exactly what I had done, but another common one that I see is even a twist where you're grabbing your knee and twisting yourself around, and this is pulling on those weakened and already stretched out muscles. It is true that sometimes we have to turn to reach something, and that's okay. You want to exhale, engage your core before you twist, but that's different than a leverage twist where you're twisting your body into that shape. Number 2 is to practice belly breathing. So it is true that we don't want to do chest breathing and be breathing really shallow into our chest. And so I hear a lot of times that people are practicing belly breathing, especially to help relax and get rid of stress, and they'll breathe into their belly, expanding into your belly. But that is stretching out those muscles even further. Instead, we want to practice 360 breath or umbrella breathing, where we're breathing into our ribs, our side and back ribs especially, and so expanding through our ribs, and so that we're not stretching out through our abdominals any more than we have to. Mistake number 3 is to just let your belly flop out or hang out, especially when we are in all 4 positions. This can add extra pressure and stretch those muscles apart. So it's important that when you're in this position to exhale and hug your baby in, which is going to protect your core. You could also use a belly wrap, or you could use kinesio tape to help add that extra support and hold those muscles together. Mistake number 4 is getting up from a reclined position and coming up. If this is causing any coning, that's putting too much intra-abdominal pressure out on those muscles. And same thing applies for traditional ab exercises, or even exercises like planks might cause too much intra-abdominal pressure. You might be getting that doming or combing. So if you ever look down at your belly and you're ever seeing that it is doing a doming shape, you want to avoid any of those movements. Number 5 is to not engage, hug your baby in, or brace your core before doing any heavy lifting, or if you're exercising, doing the hard part of a move. So if you're doing a knee thrust, you'll want to exhale, hug in your baby before you're thrusting your knee up to protect your core. Mistake number 6 that might cause diastasis recti is bearing down when you exert yourself or you're lifting something heavy. So when we breathe in, air goes into our lungs and our pelvic floor should expand out. And then as we exhale, we should get a natural lift in our pelvic floor. However, if you hold your breath and bear down on your pelvic floor and out in front, it can increase risk for prolapse and also diastasis recti. A good test to see that if you bear down, because sometimes it can be hard to know, is to get a balloon, and if you blow the balloon up and you feel pressure down on your pelvic floor when you blow, then this might be a habit that you haven't naturally picked up. So again, this circles back to when we are exerting ourselves and exhaling, we want to lift our pelvic floor and zip up, hug in our baby as we're doing the exertion part. 100% of moms at the end of pregnancy and right after will have some diastasis recti, but by the 6-week mark of healing, we want it to be down to less than 2 fingers at the belly button, and we also want it to be functional. We want it to be bouncy so your fingers aren't sinking in, and you can also measure how high and how low it goes. We also want it to be functional, so you don't want to be getting any pain, any bulging, coning, leaking, or back pain. Of course, strengthening our deep inner core muscles are also going to be helpful. I'm going to link to the whole playlist for diastasis recti there. And if you do have diastasis recti, I will link to my guide on how I healed my forefinger diastasis recti gap.